I'm a bit wary of saying that my project is about going on a journey because it sounds like reality TV or The X Factor or The Voice or something like that saying, oh, it's a great journey. But I am on a journey. I'm on a quest to find the biggest fish in the smallest ponds all the way around the world. Turn it right way up. I'm on a quest to find small worlds that are unknown outside their own borders. I'm on a quest to find the unknown heroes who make the world a better place. Above all, I'm on a quest to find stories. And I'm also on a quest to reduce my ignorance, because all of the chapters in the book that I'm going to do for Unbound are about things that I know absolutely nothing about, chosen almost at random. I knew absolutely nothing about the Luxembourg water skiing scene until I came up with this idea for Unbound, and bizarrely it got funded, and yes, last December I was in Luxembourg to research the water skiing scene, and this is what I found. Actually, this is only some of what I found. If you want to know the full story, you'll have to buy the book. That's the marketing bit. Anyway, so who is the best water skier in Luxembourg? Well, I'm not going to tell you, but I am going to tell you who was the best water skier in Luxembourg. Because if you Google Luxembourg water skiing, there's only one name that you're going to find, and that is a woman called Sylvie Hulseman. Anyone heard of Sylvie Hulseman? You've heard of Sylvie Hulseman? No, okay, you haven't heard of Sylvie Hulseman. Because if you had heard of Sylvie Hulseman, then the book would be a bit pointless. Anyway, so, Sylvie Hulseman. Who is Sylvie Hulseman? Well, she was one of the top water skiers in the world in the 1960s and the 1970s. And I managed, after a lot of searching, to get her number. And that was a quest in itself. In the end, I managed to get it off Petzler Hoch, who I'm sure you've all heard of. He's the doyen of Luxembourg sports journalists. She's now in her late 60s, and she's obviously retired from water skiing, and so I rang her up. And when I rang her up, it's fair to say that the reaction from her and from her husband, because I spoke to him too, was a little bit reticent. Because let's face it, if you're a Luxembourg water skier and then somebody rings you up to say that you're doing a book about the best water skier in Luxembourg, then the likely reaction is that it's going to be a bit of a Tony Hawk's kind of jokey playing at the Moldovans at tennis, round island with a fringe book. But so I had to convince her that I was serious. And I am serious. And I went to her house in a place called Inbringen, about 15 minutes from Luxembourg City, and I heard her story. And her story is an amazing one. It starts in the mid-50s. Luxembourg, it's fair to say, has never been a massive water skiing country. There are no real lakes or reservoirs where you could go water skiing. The best place to go is on the Moselle River on the east side of the country. And there in the mid-50s, a clutch of hardy pioneers using their own equipment, teaching themselves, started the Luxembourg water skiing scene. And they were doing it very much for their own fun, but eventually they started competing internationally. And bizarrely, they shocked themselves and they shocked the world. And in 1961, Sylvie Hulseman, aged only 16, won the World Water Skiing Championship in Long Beach in California. And I can see you're really impressed by that, by the faintly skeptical faces. But it's true, she did win. And she shocked the Americans. In fact, there was a fair amount of controversy. There were several hours of appeals before it was finally confirmed that she won the World Championship. And in fact, they didn't even have the Luxembourg national anthem when she took up the podium. But she won, and she became a big star in Luxembourg. There's a first day cover with Sylvie Hulseman on it, and she was the Luxembourg Sports Personality of the Year in 1961. Anyway, she also came fourth in the only time that water skiing was in the Olympics in 1972. She fell on her tricks round and just missed out on the bronze medal, which is one of her great lasting regrets. So I met Sylvie Hulseman. In fact, I even held in my hands, and I've got a photo in the book. I've actually held her World Championship gold medals in one of her water skis. But that was not all that I found. There was a whole golden generation of Luxembourg water skiers in the 1960s. There was a guy called Kahn-Harris, who was the European tricks champion in 1962, aged only 18. And Sylvie and John were very much It was one extended family, the golden age of Luxembourg water skiing. They'd even water ski together, doing displays together. They were like the Luxembourg Tourmaline. But then something went wrong. In the late 1960s, a terrible split, for reasons that I'll discuss in the chapter. You'll have to buy it to find out why. There was a massive split in the Luxembourg water skiing world. And the Hulseman family and the Kahn-Harris family fell out terribly. And it ended up being two rival national water skiing federations in Luxembourg for the best part of 10 years. Not one, two national water skiing federations. And this sounds a bit funny, although I can see you're not laughing. Or maybe, you know, I think it's funny, sort of. But it was also really sad. In fact, Jean and Sylvie, even to this day, didn't really want to talk about it. I had to go through complicated negotiations just to get their side of the story, which I think says something about their integrity, but it was also pretty difficult. Anyway, after the split, things didn't go well in the Luxembourg water skiing scene. Nobody reached the heights of Sylvie and Jean again until today. Well, actually not until today. No one still has beaten them. But today there are 7 water skiing clubs in Luxembourg. There's a whole new generation of wakeboarders. Wakeboarding's like, it's like as snowboarding is to skiing, wakeboarding is to water skiing. And I've met them. I've met the key figures in the Luxembourg water skiing scene today. People like Andy Lemesche, people like Mark Wester, people like John Hoffman. Now, it's fair to say that these people are not household names, either in Luxembourg or here, but with your help, they can be. And this is what I need your help for. I need you to help join me in the Luxembourg Water Skiing Legion. Yes. If you pledge at least £20, you will get this t-shirt, which is designed, not this particular one, it's a bit sweaty. You will get this t-shirt designed by a top heavy metal t-shirt designer, Luxembourg Water Skiing Legion. And I need you to support me, not just for this chapter, but for the rest of my travels. By the way, you may ask why I decided to get a t-shirt designed in heavy metal style. Well, why not, is the answer. Anyway, so, I want you to help me with my next travels. I want to go and visit and find out about the Icelandic Special Forces, who do exist. They're actually known as the Viking Squad. And I don't know whether they're going to let me, if they're going to welcome me to their collective bosoms. But I did meet in Luxembourg, I did meet somebody who knows somebody in the Icelandic delegation to NATO. So you never know. I also want to meet the best-selling heavy metal band in Botswana, and there are heavy metal bands in Botswana. The greatest living Surinamese novelist, who may be a woman called Cynthia MacLeod, which is a bit odd for a name for someone from a Dutch-speaking colony, but there you go. I want to investigate Malta's favourite soft drink, which may possibly be a drink called kiddie. Anyone have had kiddie? It's great, it's bitter orange, really tasty. But the next thing that I want to do, my next quest, is to find the most powerful politician on Alderney. Anyone heard of Alderney? Yes. Good, all right, sorry, I mean, not everyone has. Alderney is tailor-made for my project. It's not a major metropolis like Jersey or Guernsey, and it's not a tiny little island like Sark. It's somewhere in between. It gets left out. And I want to know who the top politician in Alderney is. Now, Alderney is known mostly for 3 things. One is Nazis. It was occupied in the war, and the only, I mean, this is actually not that funny, the only concentration camp in the British Isles was there during the war. Thankfully, they've closed it now. The other thing is cows. There's an Alderney breed of cattle, or at least there was, but it was actually John Mitchinson who told me that. The Alderney breed of cattle is now extinct, because the Nazis ate all of them. And the third thing that Alderney is known for is celebrities. Particularly, or admittedly, exclusively, Julie Andrews, and also Duncan Goodhue. And Ian Botham once had a summer house there as well. Anyway, Wikipedia tells me that the president of the States of Alderney now is a man called Stuart Truft. He's lived in Alderney since his teens. He's 60 years old. He was an oil tanker captain before returning to Alderney. And he was also part of Alderney's lifeboat crew. But is he the most powerful politician on Alderney? Where does the power lie? I'm going to have to take a journey into the heart of darkness of Alderney politics. And I've already dug up some interesting information. One of the newest members of the States of Alderney is a man called Peter Allen, who's an electrician and also a member of the Alderney lifeboat crew. And he was twice ejected for shouting in a States of Alderney assembly meeting. And I want to know why that happened. What's the relationship between him and Peter Trout? Does the fact that they were both lifeboat crew members means there's a kind of a Freemasonry of lifeboat members in the Alderney establishment? I don't know, and I'm going to find out. And with your help, that is going to happen. Anyway, so please support my book, as well as everybody else's, but particularly mine. And to leave you with, I'm going to teach you some essential words if you ever go to Alderney. Alderney has its own language called Orangnese. Admittedly, now virtually nobody speaks it because it's virtually extinct, but nonetheless, these 3 words that I'm going to teach you will help you. So, the first one I'm going to teach you is andul. Can we ever all say andul? Andul. No, andul. Andul. That means eel. The next one is harenget. Harenget? Harenget. That's a sprat. And mole. Mole. That's a sunfish. To be honest, I don't know what a sunfish is, but if you ever need to order sunfish in Alderney, that will come in very handy. Anyway, so set me off on my travels. I hope to come back at some point in my journey to the heart of darkness of Alderney politicians. Thank you very much. Bye.